Yeah, and so they have to have all this before making the application.
Correct. This is something that we need to show in advance.
Yeah, and so if they're going to get a rented accommodation, they would have to get the basically get the house paid for already, isn't it?
Yeah, practically speaking,
Or,
you
on a
could.
practical level, how is that possible when you
Yeah.
need to have, certain the landlords will need certain documents, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. Practically speaking, the large majority of landlords will want you to provide documentation and pay a deposit. Now, obviously, as an applicant, you may be reluctant to do that because you're paying for a property that you may not utilize if the visa is not granted for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Now, in some instances, you could get an agreement in principle with a landlord to say if the visa is granted, that the property is available for you. But in my experience, you're not going to get a landlord that's happy to do that because they want to fill their property up sooner rather than later, and they want a financial commitment from you sooner rather than later. In those categories, if you can't get an agreement in principle with a landlord re a property, then you would have to explore whether or not you can if you have family or friends, and that option, or we could look at something more like an apartment, like an Airbnb, where you're not living in a hotel, but you're living in an apartment that you can rent on a weekly or monthly basis as per your needs as well. That is something we could potentially explore. I would very much say that's plan B and not plan A, but that's something we could explore together if we get to that stage.
Yeah. Ideally, what is your plan A?
Plan A is to get property rented and a deposit paid for, or that you have family and friends in the UK that you can live with, subject to the size of the property.
All right. So that means the Home Office is assuming that your company should be big enough to want to pay for your house before you get here, isn't it?
That's the point.
Okay, that makes sense.